All right, give me a second, and I should have a recording going on. Okay, it's recording right now. I think we're good to go, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Floor
you.
is yours.
Let's open the meeting of the CPC, Community Preservation Committee, on the 18th of February, 2021. And if somebody has the time, I've got 7:07 PM. And we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty, and justice for all. Okay, then what we'll do is,
Mr. Chairman, you must read the COVID-19 protocol. It's on the agenda.
I got it. You ready, folks? Here we go. COVID-19 protocol. Due to the increasing concerns surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting will be held remotely with no physical meeting location. Those seeking to provide public input should do so by using the methods listed below. Video and audio of the meeting will be aired on Comcast and local TV 9 at a later date. A live recording of the meeting will be available on the Town of Dayton YouTube channel, which is accessible using the link www.youtube.com/Town of Dayton. Okay. Next will be the roll call of attendance. I don't have my sheet, but I'm going to call out. I got to call you folks out. I don't have it again. Let's start with myself, Thomas Berkwin, chairman here. I'm going to go with Timothy Rhines, vice chairman. Am I transmitting all right?
Aye.
Okay, Tim.
I'm
Mr.
here.
here. Okay, Mr. Eckerson,
Present.
Dave Marvel, we know you're here.
Yes.
Mr. Woods,
Here.
Robert Woods. Mrs. Collard,
Here.
Karen. Our secretary. You're here and you're taking your minutes. Karen, can you hear me?
Mic is off.
Hold on, let me look at Karen here.
Mike's off.
Karen, can you hear us?
Karen?
Let's see if I can unmute her.
She's frozen, so
Oh, yeah, you're right. We're gonna have to wait till she comes back.
We could substitute somebody. Well, we have to wait, right? She could substitute someone else for the minutes, right? Couldn't we? Dave, couldn't we substitute someone else to take the notes?
If someone wants to, I'm kind of like running two meetings.
Not
at
you,
once.
not you. I didn't say you.
All right. I'm your tech guy. I'm just watching all the other meetings
Yeah.
with Laura. Thank you.
So she's frozen?
no, she's back now.
Oh, okay. Karen, can you hear me?
We asked.
You're back with us, Karen? Oh, okay.
She froze
I
again.
don't-
I'm gonna unmute her. I asked her to unmute herself. Here we go.
Okay.
I think she got, yeah, her frames are freezing. Karen, I think you're okay now. Can you speak?
It might be easier for her to just dial in and do audio. She's having a slow connection.
Let me see.
Good
if-
idea.
I'll take care. Let me see if I can send her she can read the chat.
ID
followed by
Nope.
pound.
Who's that?
She might be trying to
Maybe
maybe
she's
dial.
calling. We'll wait for her and then see if she's trying to do that.
If it's being recorded, perhaps she could go with that. If she
Yeah, that's
can't
an
get
idea too. I don't know. I've never had this type of failure, so.
I got a recording that's going on right now that's active, so we should be good.
Yeah, so she could take the notes from that? Correct or no?
We'll have to give it our USB file after we're done. Because that goes up to her cloud. It's not like I have it on a stick on my local computer.
All right, well, how long do you want to sit here? You know what I mean, without a secretary?
Well, if someone can pick up notes on the side and then she can pick up the, we'll try to get her a thumb drive after. All right, I'm gonna be listening, you guys. I'm gonna go mute for a second and I'm gonna just ask her to call in too.
All right. We'll give it another minute, couple minutes.
Yeah, or just ask her, if she can
She's-
see you and hear you. If she can hear you,
Yeah,
just tell her nod her head and she can just hear the continuing conversation. That's all.
yeah, we just
Just tell
have,
her nod her head. If she can hear everything, then she can record
right now,
everything.
we have apparently no communication with her.
Oh, she's in a frozen phase?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jeez.
I'm gonna ask her to call in.
Just a slight technical glitch.
Yes, I can hear now.
Hey. All right.
Okay,
Hello.
Karen, can you hear us again? Can you say something one more time?
Gonna last.
Oh, it's not good in the audio.
What-
If you can hear us, can you just try to take the notes? Can you hear us?
it's very breaking up. I get one word and not the rest.
Ask her if she
I'm
can
gonna
go with the recording.
calling it in. I'm gonna call in.
Is
and,
she-
Okay.
Somebody
All right.
has to accept me in.
Okay. Okey dokey.
Gotta love COVID.
Mm-hmm. Well, we did want to try to get our own, I guess I'll wait.
Nah, that wouldn't matter. There's probably just a bad reception area. That's all it is,
All
So
right.
that wouldn't
Yeah.
have mattered about a Zoom account. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I just thought it was a good idea. Oh. Dave, any luck?
No, we're still waiting for her, Tom.
How about if,
anything.
how about this? How about if I just
Wait
take
a
note?
minute, wait a minute. Hold on. She's here now. She just came on my waiting room.
Okay.
Karen, can you hear us? Karen?
I need somebody to accept me. I don't know.
I did. Can you hear us?
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna change your name. Hold on. All right, we'll just keep it sharp like this for now. Okay. Mr. Chairman, go ahead and continue. Apologize
Okay,
for all the stuff going on. Let's try it again.
All right, let's go with myself. I'm here. Tom Berkwin, Chairman. Vice Chairman, Tim Rhines. I'm gonna start over. Tim Rhines,
Present.
Chairman.
Present.
Okay. Dave Ackerson.
Present.
I'm getting feedback. Robert Woods.
Hey Karen, you
I'm
gotta
here,
just
Tommy,
click
I'm
on the
here.
Zoom
Yeah.
app so
Yeah.
that they can do just audio only on the phone.
Yeah, I am. No, I can't shut it off. I can't get rid of it.
Can you turn the volume down on your
Yeah,
speaker on your
yeah.
laptop?
Yeah. I'm all set. I'm all set.
Feedback though. All right, Mrs. Collard,
I'm here.
sorry about the delay here. Let's see, who else we got? That new gentleman, I haven't met you yet. Could you just repeat your name? I just haven't met you in person yet.
William Pruitt.
There he is. Hi, Bill. I'm sorry, I just never met you personally,
That's
but
no problem.
I'm glad I finally see what you look like.
Mr. Berkwin, maybe you can change the view on your Zoom app and you can see, because I can see everybody all at once.
Oh, all right. You know how you do that? You turn the phone. You know what happened? I had downloaded the Zoom to my iPad, but it wouldn't load up. I would have been perfect. I had all that nice technology and I'm back on the phone. But thank you very much. I didn't grow up with this stuff, so I'm not as savvy as you are. Who did I miss anybody? Because I don't have it on the sheet here. Is there anybody else out there? We got Dayton Trails with a guest and Mrs. Gales from the historical, correct? As far as the two guests.
I believe that's two of us,
And
yes.
who else did I miss on my team?
Did you get it, Bill?
I got Adele.
I think I have
Everybody's in,
everybody but Mr. Digit.
and he's not with us, right?
No.
Because of conservation or whatever. I believe he must be excused because he's in conservation possibly. I don't know. He's not here, so I guess he's not here.
Okay.
All right, so this is, the next thing we want to do is, we talked before about the agenda and that was going to be just a couple of items that they want to work out. We had some logistical issues with the, I was going to give a report. I'm just going to pass right now on that. Tim will probably have a report. I'll turn it over to him. Vice Chairman Tim Rhines. Are you with me, Tim?
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Well, Tom, I think we should really just get on with the agenda.
That's what I say.
And that's what we need to do is because we can't go beyond what is on the agenda, so we must follow the agenda.
Okay, well, I want to bring in old business. And basically you've had the ball with this thing for a while. So we talked about the fact that we were going to try to get these folks straightened out. We had a problem with a letter, the amount, the wording on the historical, but I think we got all those bugs ironed out, correct?
Yes, I got the letter. It was fine, and it's been sent into the Massachusetts Historical Commission.
Okay, and that met
Yep.
what you needed, okay. Because I know we kind of went back and forth there. We had just had some logistical.
Right.
So we got that squared away. So did you want to say anything about, as long as you're on this, I have your attention. Is there anything you want to say about this process while you're here and anything you want to add to it?
I just want to make sure that everyone's clear what what we're doing, that we're requesting the $25,000 from the CPC to go on the warrant in June. And that once the project is complete, once we've hired a preservation consultant, and she's done our work on updating all of the documentation for our historic properties. And once that's finished in FY '22 by June 30th of '22, then all the paperwork is submitted to the Mass Historical Commission, and then reimbursement of the $12,500 happens. Of course, this all happens if we get the grant. Okay, so as long as everyone's clear on what's going on.
Yeah, I was clear on it. I just think
Okay.
it got somewhere got mixed up in the translation.
Good, okay.
Everybody else all the members clear on what's going on with this?
Yes.
I have
Yes.
one
Yes.
question.
Does anybody got anything to say? Tim,
do.
anybody?
I do, Mr.
Go
Pruitt.
ahead, sir. Go ahead.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, before Mr. Pruitt begins, Mr.
Oh.
Chairman, you've taken an item agenda out of order. We must follow the agenda.
All right, can I
Mr.
just-
Dale,
can
thank
I-
you for your explanation. Thank you for your explanation, but we must stay to the agenda. That is the
Tim.
Massachusetts general law. There must be a vote. If you take the agenda item out of order, there must be a vote of the committee. That was not done. We must stick to the agenda
Okay,
as written.
now, there's just one caveat thing I'd like to add to that. I did not receive the agenda. So
Mhm.
that's just lovely. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to go off the old, but I still, so if you want to correct it, we're gonna have to take a vote. Is that what you're saying, Tim?
Yes, going further, that's correct. So if Mr. Cavallo doesn't mind, because he's with us, he may have something to do with his family. I do not know that. That's up to Mr. Cavallo. It should just take us
Didn't get
5
the
minutes
agenda
to
either,
wrap
so
this
I'm
up.
I'm just here as a guest.
All right.
Okay,
it's
it'll
not
just
gonna
take us
make-
5 minutes. It'll take us 5 minutes to wrap it up. And so, Mr. Chairman, I move that we take agenda item number 2, which is the Dayton Historical Commission, out of order.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I,
Okay, it sounds, I'll say aye. It sounds unanimous. Tim, you're on.
Chairman, it must be, Mr. Chairman, it
Gotta
must be a roll call vote. It must be a roll
All
call
right,
vote.
myself, I'll start with Tim Rhines,
Aye.
Mr. Eckerson,
Aye.
Mr. Marvell,
Aye.
Mr. Woods,
Aye.
Mrs. Collard,
I,
and myself, I would vote aye.
There's also Mr. Pruitt.
And Mr. Pruitt, who I will get used to, I just haven't met you. All right, and you're affirmative.
Yes.
So everyone's here, so it would be unanimous, and I do apologize for that. But once again, I'm working off an old document. All right, so what did you want to add, Mr. Pruitt?
Well, are we going to talk about the Historic Commission one, or are we going to talk about the trails?
Well, I think we're all pretty much cognizant that we're talking about the historical,
Okay.
which is
Excuse
was
me,
my
excuse me,
error.
Mr.
I took it out of order.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, if I may, for a second. Did not just vote to take the Trails Commission out of order so we could talk about the Historical Committee agenda, correct?
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what we
the
did.
vote That's the vote we did. So yes,
Okay.
that's correct. We are discussing that issue.
All right. So, okay, Pat. Just that the last thing you said, it all depends on getting the grant. What grant are you talking about? The Historic Commission grant?
Yeah, the survey and planning grant that we applied for.
Oh, well, I don't see that. I may be wrong, of course, but if we get the
Well-
CPC money, right, the 25K, then we can go ahead with the what you want to do, the project. I don't see how the getting the grant or not getting the grant has anything to do with it, other than that you don't get the 12.5K reimbursement, correct?
Right.
We don't.
This is, if I may mention something. We already pretty much discussed all of this stuff and all the material was put out there. And I think you were at the meeting, but the last meeting, I don't know.
Oh.
So I think I'm trying to figure out where you're going with your questioning.
I'm
But
not going with anything. I just want an
no,
answer.
no, I'm just, I don't follow you myself. That's all.
Okay. Well, the idea is we applied for the CPC 25K. That's the full funding of the project. And there hasn't been a vote on it, but everyone everyone seems to be in favor of it. Anyway, so then it goes to the town meeting and has to be okayed at the town meeting before the 25K can be released. Fine. So if that all works, we have the 25K in hand in order to do the job. Now, the only difference would whether or not the Historic Commission grants the half, which is the 12.5K. If they grant it, then that 12.5K is reimbursed to the CPC. If they do not grant it, then I don't see why we shouldn't continue just because we don't get the reimbursement. Pat, what do you say about that?
When we put our application request into the CPC bill, it was with the understanding that we were going after the grant and there would be reimbursement for it.
Well,
We have not discussed what happens if we don't get the grant, either with the or with the CPC.
Well, let's back up. If you just start at the beginning with the CPC and we work it through the town meeting, and does the money not get dispensed from the CPC until the verdict of the Mass Commission grant? Or not?
Mr. Pruitt, that's exactly how it works. It's all contingent upon if the commission in Boston awards the grant. If the town then gets awarded the grants, then we get kicked back 12.5. If the town does not get awarded the grant, the whole $25,000 never gets spent.
Okay.
It's basically never gets allocated is what it is. It's not, I don't believe you.
I was not aware of
something. It may be a good question. I don't know if the state would just. I don't think Bill Galvin's office would just take our money. The $25,000 just for the application fee. That is a good question. Pat, do we have an answer with that? Is that?
No, the whole thing is, we as the Historical Commission have not discussed what we would expect to do if we do not get the grant. Nor when we put our request in to you as the CPC, have we discussed what will happen if we don't get the $25,000? I mean, the grant. So.
No, but my question is the grant monies that we put up front is like an application fee process to the state?
We haven't done anything, put anything up yet until we have town meeting. So, and we will know.
No. I don't think anybody's understanding my question.
No.
Is the state, so the state's requesting $25,000. We go to town meeting, okay? And we approve the monies for the grant, but the town is not awarded the grant. Does the state take out $25,000? That's the question.
Only if we decide to go forward with the project without the grant. And that would be our decision as the town of Dayton.
I don't think Pat, I really don't think you understand my question is that if we go to town meeting, we have a vote, we approve the monies.
Yeah.
The town has put up the $25,000. Does the state wants that money? Does the state keep our funds if we do not receive the grant? That's the question. Does the
No.
state automatically keep? Okay,
No.
that's
No.
all I'm asking. Okay. All right.
No,
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think you understood the translation of that. I'm sorry. Thank you.
because what happens is we will know well before we go to town meeting if we are approved for the grant. The Massachusetts Historical Commission meets on March 10th. And they make their awards at that meeting. So if we are a recipient, we should know, I would say within 2 to 2.5 weeks after the 10th, if we are able to use the grant. So the question that comes up is if we get the grant, we go ahead with our plan to go to town meeting to ask this, for approval of the $25,000. What has not been discussed is if we do not get approval for the reimbursement grant, do we go forward with the project to town meeting? What we as the Historical Commission haven't discussed that, nor when we applied to the CPC.
Yeah.
We're asking the money contingent on getting grant money so that the CPC wouldn't be funding the whole 25K. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. It
Okay.
does.
All right, so is everyone clear on that?
Well, it hasn't, is someone going to make?
Hasn't clicked yet.
So I think that go ahead, Mr. Pruitt. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I guess in a simplified way, I think what I understand from Pat is that I didn't realize, I should have, but I didn't realize that we would know if we had not had, whether we get the grant or not before the town meeting votes on the CPC money. So if we do get the grant, everything's fine. The 12.5K comes back. If we don't get the grant, the question is, will the CPC allow us to continue to do the project with the full 25K without the grant? That's really what it comes down to. So
I think it still goes back to the question of Pat. Let me ask this question again. Maybe I just don't remember. Is that you're going to know long before we go to town meeting in June who's getting awarded grants, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, there you go. So that we're still at a stage right now, members, that we're still in discussion that, we don't have to make a vote. We'll just be further updated, I'm sure, by Mrs. Gales in the future. We'll have her at our meetings and she'll let us know if the town is awarded the grants. And I'm sure as members, we hope we are awarded the grants. And if we are, I would just speaking for myself, I would absolutely vote in favor of awarding $25,000, and that would be contingent upon what the Historical Commission would do with those funds if they needed the funds, because we're still getting a $12,500 matching grant back. So So in actuality, the town's spending $12,500 possibly to upgrade people's homes with the signification that they're historical. So, I think it's a win-win.
Go ahead, hold on.
I think you might be misunderstanding the process maybe.
Wait a minute.
The 25K would, the money that comes back, the 12.5K, if we get the grant, from what I understand, goes back to the original funding source, which in this case with the CPC.
Yes, correct.
Right. So you would throw it in your slush fund or whatever, and that would everything would be fine. But if
exactly.
See, what I'm trying to get is I'm actually trying, I was hoping that if we didn't, but it may be contractual and I have no choice, but if we don't get the grant, and we'll know that before the town meeting, the CPC would not be willing to fund the 25K in full, even though the 12 and a half doesn't come back? That's what I'm trying to, I'm asking that.
And yes, sir, I believe, yes, and I understand exactly what you're saying. And as I say, I would be myself personally, I would be in favor of spending those type of resources because we have them to signify historical homes or, help to put homes on the register to, that type of thing.
Right.
To me personally, I'd be absolutely in favor of it. So.
As I would
You
also.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so there's two. What I'd like is, are you all set, Mr. Pruitt?
Yeah,
Hello?
you're saying, the CPC is the one that would get the 12 and a half K back. But if it
Correct.
doesn't get the 12 and a half K back, the question was, I'm not sure I actually heard
That's
anybody
all right.
speak specifically.
Um,
In other words,
But this is just a discussion because we're not going to take a vote. But I think that the members would, it would have to be the historical commission would have to come back with another application
okay.
for whatever project they would like to present going forward.
So the project wouldn't die just because you didn't get the
no,
grant. Okay.
Correct. So I think that as a recommendation to Mrs. Gales that you could also reapply. Well, our time frame is closed, but it would be I don't know. This is an unforeseen circumstance in this case. So.
All right. So we'll go on.
you're all set, Tim?
Application process, because the application process is officially closed for the year. And we don't go to special town meeting. So it's still a case of, it's still contingent upon if the historical commission's award the grant, we're gonna know if they are prior to town meeting. So right now it's not an issue right now.
Okay.
Well, maybe we could amend their application to make it state that if for some reason they do not receive the grant, that the CPC would be willing to fund the whole project. Because that's why we have the CPC, to take care of these things.
The people.
It sounds like my dog agrees.
Yeah, he agrees.
Yeah. Good girl. Go lay down.
I'd like to say something. Tim, are you good for a minute so I can get in there a minute? What I'd like to say is we got to make sure when we get these materials that we look this stuff over so we're clear on it. And I'm glad that we want to work with anyone that has a legitimate thing that we're a recommending body. So I absolutely want to help the historical commission. So I think we just have to make sure this stuff is cleared up and, everyone understands it. Now, I was gone for 2 months, so I wasn't involved in the initial workings of this. So, I still, until I get fully going here, Tim is still mentoring me to help train me for this position. And we're doing the best we can with this COVID thing makes it very difficult. So if as far as a procedure, if we can do that, and the body, if we can make an amendment on that, that's fine with me. But I mean, I got to make sure that we can do it. That's all. Tim, do you have any input on that? Is that a motion on the floor from Mr. Woods to amend that?
Tim might be speaking and not realize he's still on mute.
Did I say it was a motion, Tommy? It's a discussion.
No.
No, I'm just reaching out to clarify this. We've already had a lot of confusion on it because of some of the stuff that was disseminated apparently wasn't clear to some members. I'm not saying
I'm not
all
confused
members.
At all. I know exactly what they were said and what they meant.
Yeah, I didn't say you didn't.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything to discuss on this issue, on this item?
Can I be heard there, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
VIP.
since we're going to find out about the grant on March 10th and our next meeting is after that, why don't we just discuss it at the next meeting?
Yeah, we could table it till then.
I don't even think we have to table it because it hasn't been moved, so,
Well, then we could just move on.
yeah.
You know?
Is that okay, Woody? I don't want to trample on you here.
No, sir, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
Can I
Reckerson.
just say, I hope that we do, they do meet on the 10th.
Mhm.
So it would be, I would hope within the 2 weeks after, so
All right, well,
we'll go with that.
okay. It just seems, I hope we can get it all cleared up. I'm sure it'll work out for you, you know?
Oh, I think
Listen,
we're getting the grant, so I'm thinking
Yeah, I don't,
positive.
yeah, I don't feel bad about it. I think it's gonna be fun. All
Mr.
right.
Chairman, if I may, yeah, yes, Mrs. Gales, I certainly do hope the town gets awarded the grants, and I think we just will make sure that you have the Zoom link for our next meeting for next month, so that way you
Okay.
can fill us in. We always meet on the third Thursday at 7 p.m., so we'll be sure to get you the link and the agenda.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Yep, have a good night.
Take care now.
Night now.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe. Okay, let's move on to the Dayton Trails, if I'm correct in the, which I have this, I don't have the current thing, but correct me if I'm wrong, it should be Dayton Trails, I would think, is the next item. Got a delay on my voice.
Are you waiting for Tim to respond to you?
I'm waiting for somebody to say anything.
Hi, I'm Jeff from the Dayton Trails.
Yes, that's the guy we want to talk to.
I don't know, I didn't know what you needed. Sorry.
Hey, you know, I got a time delay on my end. I mean, this is just, go
Are
ahead.
you on Mars?
I don't know where I'm at. I think we just landed. I think we just landed.
It's
Yeah.
11-minute delay. It'll be a while.
All right, man. We should
All
get
right,
a.
so, Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mr. Cavallo has presented an application for eligibility and for funding for the Dayton Trails Committee for $30,000 for a grant for a feasibility study. And this is for the section that Dayton owns. And I think we're at the point now where it's not a matching, it's Jeff, fill me in, is it a matching grant of some sort, and is it an award, or?
No, the way this is working is this is the initial step so we can go for grants after this. So we're asking for an amount not to exceed $30,000 for a feasibility study to look at a connection from the DCR Sweet Snow Trail to Broad Cove and also looking to continue south to Somerset. And what this is going to do is give us the deliverables, the documentation we need to go for state and federal funding for grants so that we can actually do the construction and the work. This is step one.
Okay, I remember that.
So, committee members, we've had the opportunity to look at the application, and I think that with the information that's been provided by the applicants, we're in a position where I believe that we could take a vote.
Mr.
I don't know
Chairman,
how the other members feel. I think it's a great project to be done because it's interconnection, as Mr. Cavallo stated, and it'll be a benefit, recreational benefit, passive recreational benefit to our residents. So I think it's a great project.
Tim,
Yes.
before we do that, I'd like just a few short questions to Mr. Cavallo.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Okay. I just have a few questions about, and I'm going to, this is from your brief description of project.
Yes,
If
sir.
it's part of the proposal.
Mhm.
Right. It says, to connect the future DCR Suites Knoll Trail. I'm assuming you mean the rail bed.
Yes,
All right.
yeah, behind Alice's last stop.
And Dayton Trails Committee's proposed trailhead parking area to the Broad Cove Nature Trailhead. Okay, what is the Dayton Trails Committee's proposed trailhead? Where parking area? Where is that?
It's
Can
directly
you-
behind Alice's last stop. If you go out the back
Well,
exit
yeah,
of
I
Alice's.
know, I know what the rail bed is. It's just about 20 feet from the back of the restaurant.
Yeah.
What are you planning? Is the is this parking area? Is this part of the? Are you planning to use Alice's Restaurant's parking area as?
No,
And where is the proposed parking area if it's not
When,
there?
when this application was submitted, it was a proposed parking area. Since this application was submitted back in November, we've had a minor site plan approved by the planning board for a 5 to 6 lot cleared area that is actually already in place. It was an area that was cleared by the Dayton Highway Department when they did some pipe work on the road. It's Somerset Ave, right behind Alice's. Is that the name of the road? Right here in front of me.
Mr. Cavallo, gentlemen, could I just interject something and I'll let you get back at it?
Sure.
I don't know if you remember, I'm still on open space. We met at open space one time. I did look, you gave us a nice layout of that from like an overview.
Yes.
And I could probably make a copy of that and make sure everyone gets a copy of that or give it to Mr. Pruitt. Maybe it'll help clear it up for him, maybe.
Sure.
Well, I think if you just describe verbally where this new parking lot is, you're saying it's in the same vicinity as Alice's Restaurant's parking lot?
No, it's
Oh.
directly behind. Unfortunately, you probably can't see that.
There it is.
But
Okay.
it's
It's
Okay.
behind Alice's, across the
It's-
street.
Oh, it's across the street.
Yes, sir, on the east side of, what is that? Whatever
Somerset
that street is,
Avenue.
Old Somerset Avenue.
Okay.
It's.
Oh,
across
yeah,
the
yeah.
street.
Right. Okay. So, this connection, is this are you talking about the rail line that Dayton Trail Committee is dealing with, which is, from what I understand, it looks like it's about a 1 mile, you're talking about the rail bed work that would be required to turn it into a bike trail? Is that the work that ultimately would be done?
Yeah, that's actually owned, that section behind Alice's, that's the rail bed. That's actually Commonwealth property, belongs to the state of Massachusetts. So the DCR is doing a 2 mile trail that starts at this trailhead and goes all the way north to Princess House. It's 2 miles all the way through. It goes over that trellis. They're gonna replace that trellis with something safe. And then it continues behind Sweet Knoll. They figure out what they're doing when they get to the town hall on, I always want to call it Center. I think that's Main Street, right? That we, at the connection that goes to the Aggie, they have to probably put some kind of a connection underneath that rail, that
Oh,
roadway,
okay.
continue
Yeah.
north, back
You
behind.
don't have to describe the whole route. I'm just,
sorry.
so you're saying the connection you're talking about is, in your proposal, is the actual rail bed work that you're involved in for Dayton, right?
No, we're not touching the rail bed. We're actually on town property because the rail bed belongs to the state.
So what kind of connection are you proposing? What is the kind of connection? I don't get it.
So the connection so what we want to do is we want to look at, crosswalks, any road improvements. The road improvements on that section of Somerset Avenue are actually already done. The town of Dayton got a grant to put in a sidewalk on Somerset Avenue. So most of that on that section of Somerset is going to be on road. Any on-road improvements, either on the sidewalk or along the road, crosswalks, any signage on that north section. Once you get south of there and you continue further south down to Hart Street, there's no sidewalk there. There's no real safe road areas for bike or walkers or anybody going down that way. It's just an open road. So we want to look at doing improvements along that road and continuing all the way down to the Somerset line. So that's all part of this feasibility study.
So the idea would be to pocket this lot that is on Old Somerset, where is it? Old Somerset Avenue, I guess it is, right?
Yes.
And is that's that lot would be like behind the old Giorgio's restaurant or something?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. And then, so people would park there, right? Get on their bikes, get their bikes off, and what you're talking about is sort of a right of way over public roads and everything, right?
Yes.
Okay, and all the way down.
Well,
to
Somerset's a town road, but Somerset Ave is a town road.
Okay, and then they would ride down and join up the rail bed at Hart Street at that intersection.
They can either go north to DCR or they can go south. Either, once you get to Broad Cove, it's not a bike trail anymore. It's more of a walking trail. You can stay along Somerset Ave and go all the way down, or it turns to Pleasant, right? Turns to Pleasant Street and goes all the way along the water. That would be part of the feasibility study to see what we can do along that to make it a better connection for bicycles and walkers.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something, Tom, before, just for geographical purposes for the people in town. This is Somerset Avenue, not Old Somerset Avenue, which runs behind Dunkin' Donuts. That's Old Somerset Avenue. This is Somerset Avenue, which is Route 138, which runs and ends right at the little memorial and turns into Pleasant Street if you're heading further south.
Right.
Yeah,
Just for geographical purposes
Right.
for the residents.
yeah, the
Thank you.
Sergeant Dutra little memorial, right? Sergeant Dutra's or somebody's father. I think it was Sergeant Dutra's father. There's a memorial there.
Corporal John L. Dutra.
Right. Okay. So it's like a military. Is
No,
that his?
no relation to Sergeant Dutra.
Oh, no relation. Okay.
No.
I thought everybody was related in Dayton, but I guess I was wrong about that. Yeah. Okay. So chew gum and walk at the same time. I was at another meeting. They said something about walking and chewing gum at the same time. I said, "Oh, really?" It wasn't funny. It was at the time, but all right. So we're going to take a vote on this.
Yeah, motion.
If somebody wants to make a motion.
I
make a
motion.
Oh, someone got me. And Dow, glad Dow out the first one. I'll do the second if I can.
Absolutely. Make a motion on moving ahead with this, voting on this item so we can get moving on it. We're running out of time, I would assume.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so motion's been made and seconded, and we'll do a roll call vote. Karen, do you have who made the motion, who seconded it? You still with us?
Yes.
Okay, dear. Tim Ryan, Vice Chairman Rhines?
Lost him.
No, he's on mute. Hold on. Let me see if I
All
can
right.
find him.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
once you ask for a motion, the motion's been seconded. Before you take a vote, you must ask for further discussion. And then if
Oh,
there is none,
Sorry about that.
then we take the vote by the members.
I gotta get my Atwoods, whatever we use for the procedure. I'll have to tune up on that. Any discussion on the motion that was made and seconded to move forward with this item from the trails? Any more discussion?
I'll
I don't
say
know.
one thing. I'll
Go
say
ahead,
one
Mr.
thing
Woods.
about it. I think $30,000 is a
Mhm.
lot of money to pay for the state's work. Right? It's a state trail, it's a state bike path or whatever you want to call it. But they want the town of Dayton to pay for it. It's a straight line and it's $30,000.
Now, if I
That's all
may,
I have to say. You wanted
Yeah.
the discussion? I gave you one.
thank you, Mr. Woods. Always appreciate your input. What I wanted to say was if I'm not, I think I was under the impression that part of the contingency that the trails were working with the state and all these other entities, that was part of the deal, that somehow they had to come up with the money up front?
Why
Mr.
use
Chairman,
their
if
money?
If I may,
I don't
They
know.
can't get us to use ours.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a
They're
good
the
one.
ones pushing this. This has been going on for years and years and years. Right? And if you ask me, it's like a half-ass trail and it's a half-ass bike path. Some of it is private, some of it's safe, and then they bring you out into the road. And it's piecemeal.
Yeah,
And they want us to pay $30,000 for a survey. Okay? That's a lot of money for a survey. For a piecemeal, so-called walking trail, bike path, whatever you want to call it.
I don't. And I would have to just
I'm
mention
telling you,
that,
they've been talking about this for 12 years at least.
wow, 12 years.
Yeah, at least.
Well, I mean, we're never going to have the trails system that Rhode Island has. I mean, let's face it, but I think
We
the
don't
guys,
have the layout. There's a
yeah,
lot
they're
of
just
property abutters that are not crazy about bikes going by their house, people going by their house.
yeah, I think they're just trying to do something, but that's why you have a discussion and that's why you try to figure out which way to go. But
Well, this has to pass at town meeting.
yeah, I know. Does anyone else have anything to say? Good or bad, up or down?
Everything else in this town is nickels and dimes, and we're talking about spending $30,000 for a survey to a piecemeal bike path / trail.
Well, you really can't disagree with you,
You
Mr.
can if you want.
Mr.
I
Woods,
mean, I know what you're saying, but what do you guys think? It's time to, if you want to talk about
Oh,
it,
we're
talk
gonna
about it.
vote on it. We'll vote any way you feel.
Mr. Woods, do you want to
Yes, sir.
ask, would it be wise to ask Mr. Gavallo why he would want this $30,000 in light of what you
But
just
he's
said?
already expressed why. I mean, and Jeff's doing a great job. He's advocating for his Trails Committee. But this is really being pushed by Serpent and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And they want us, the town of Dayton, to pay for this.
Is this true?
And
Mr.
it's pretty much straight a line.
Well,
How much engineering do they need? $30,000.
is this something that would put a dead stop on this project? Or in other words, if we don't fund this?
If we don't pay for it and the state really wants it, they'll pay for it.
Mr. Chairman, if I may respond to that.
Go ahead.
Clarification. This is actually not state property. This is town of Dayton property. And what we're trying to do is the state, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, is terminating their trail behind Giorgio's. What we're doing as part of the Trails Committee and what we're trying to do for the overall Taunton Trails 22-mile vision, Taunton River Trails overall area vision, which, as Mr. Woods said, has been something that's been going around for a long time, because these things take a very long time to pull together. And so what we're doing is we want to do the homework up front to tie in where the state is terminating on town property across the town of Dayton, south through the town of Dayton to the town of Somerset. Ultimately, we'd like to connect all these things together. We're not asking for 30,000. We're asking for an amount not to exceed 30,000.
Did we lose you?
It is a feasibility study. So the product coming out of here is going to lead into a grant, or lead into the ability to go get grants and get money for construction, for engineering and construction.
Yes, I remember. I recall you explaining it to I didn't know it was going on for 12 years, but I mean, I've only been.
I've only been at this for about 1.5 years, so I haven't been at it for 12 years.
Yes, got a couple questions here. Mr. Chairman. Oh dear, I think we lost the chairman.
Go ahead, Dave. We're
Yeah.
listening.
All right. Okay, Jeff, so is there any possibility that when you do go for grants that you could get the feasibility study reimbursed at that time?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so either, but I thought I'd ask. And um, the other question, which is for the committee members, is have we considered which category this project belongs to? Because we're gonna need to do that.
The application says recreation.
Thank you, Karen.
So that would fall under the open space category.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim. Right now, our open space balance is actually a little under 30,000, only slightly.
I'm sorry, Mr. Atkinson, how much did you say was in open space right now? Because we could always tap the undesignated reserves, because that's the, you know,
Sure,
that would be
yeah.
the other category.
Right. I mentioned that only to,
Yeah.
you know, kind of put in perspective of where money has been going in recent town meetings.
Correct. So, you know, we could use a partial funding from the open space category, not use it all. We did receive $12,500 last year. We could use that money and tap the undesignated reserve for the rest. And that's the question of if the committee does vote to approve, then that's the discussion between the committee and how we would tap, you know, those reserves in a future meeting before we write the warrant article to go to town meeting.
I have a question, if I may, if I approach the board. So Jeff, I got a question for you. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're the $30,000 for the survey. Once that gets approved, is there any other monies to complete this?
This is a feasibility study. This is step one. So what happens is we take the feasibility study deliverables, which is going to be a report, surveys, and all kinds of details of different options for construction. And then we can then submit proposals for state and federal grants to do the final engineering and construction.
Okay,
There's additional things that happen. This won't result in a trail. It's not a turnkey thing.
okay. I know it's a long process and it's tough to do. Thank you.
Jeff, can I ask another question?
Absolutely.
I feel a little confused now. As comparing your answer to my question about what is it? In other words, this engineering feasibility study is a feasibility study for, first it sounded like you were talking about the roadway and the markings and the signs. Is that still true? You're not talking about the rail bed construction, engineering? Okay, so it is.
Yeah, just it's the on-road sections that go from that trailhead to
Okay.
Hart Street and
So-
south. Yeah.
So who would end up, given, say you had this engineering study, you'd be looking to get a grant to pay for this process, this road process? Is that
Yes.
what you're saying?
Yeah, and then the first thing they typically ask is what homework have we done? And, you know, we would get the grant, more likely getting the grant having done a feasibility study and done our homework, because they're not, you know, when they start looking at these grant proposals, if you haven't done any engineering work up front, any studies into different options of solutions, and you're just going for a grant willy-nilly, well, I'm not a civil engineer. I'm not a PE, so
So
I'm not.
it sounds like what you're saying, that because some of the land, or a lot of the land, is owned by Dayton, or the state only owns up to a certain point, the rail bed or something like that. So
Yes.
they wouldn't be, the state would not want to fund it, what you're targeting, correct?
The state might fund it through something called Mass Trails, which is a different group, but the state would pay for it in a grant once we'd have a feasibility study.
How do you know that? Is that a fairly reliable statement?
We've talked to the Mass Trails group about how we go about getting grants, and you can get grants without any kind of homework, but as far as the grading and the stacking of different proposals, if you've done your homework up front, a lot of times they won't pay for the construction, they won't pay for any of these things unless you've done your due diligence, and this is part of doing the due diligence.
And do you have any gut feeling of what that grant amount would require for the actual construction?
I know when we were looking at potentially doing a winter streets grant for improvements on Somerset Avenue, it was probably on the order of $300,000, just for the not Somerset, Pleasant Street, to do on-road improvements for a sidewalk and everything. So that's probably a rough order of what that grant would be.
That's a lot of money to count on. I mean, to come up with 30K just to try to get a 300K or more construction grant. I get a lot of warm fuzzy here, but that's I'm personal, but that's my
Okay,
personal.
I understand. Thank you.
I guess personally, Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure that I'd be ready to vote at this time, but you know, I think we have to think about this maybe more, unless I'm not
I think
sure.
we're ready to vote on it.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
been here in pretty clear. Maybe we could take a vote on it.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman, your audio is not working right now.
Let me see if I can get him again.
He's on his phone and he's not muted, but I don't think he probably connected audio.
So right now we have a position where we have a motion in a second and we're having discussion. Now, we can take it to a vote to the members and to see how the members feel if they want to go forward right now, because there is a motion on the floor, or there could be a motion to rescind the prior motion. That's up to the members. That's a procedural situation. I just want to put out there.
So can we take a vote?
Let's discuss just a little bit more. Okay, so let's say the town of Dayton puts up $30,000 for a survey. And then the state don't want to give us no money to build a trail. We're out $30,000. But the people at Serpent, you know, they rely on us. That's how they make their money, you know, from projects like this. And I've been dealing with Serpent for quite a few years, and I understand what they're all about. They are self-servicing each other. You know, the Mass Trails Committee could do this work, and they know that. And they're working us over to get $30,000 out of the town of Dayton. I don't know how familiar everybody else is with the people that work at Serpent. There are a lot of nice, fine people, but they're making a living off of people like us.
Mr. Chairman, could I be recognized here? Okay, I'm not sure Tom's there again, but yeah, so Jeff, how much of the section that you want to survey, okay, maybe this is kind of a confusing question, but how much of it is non-road? In other words, how much of this is actual, because maybe I misunderstood the scope of the feasibility study. How much of this is actually off-road, let's say, okay?
Right now, the section we're looking at is all on road until you cross over until you get down by Hart Street, where it splits two ways. One of them goes through Broad Cove, and the other one is on road on Pleasant to the Somerset line.
On Pleasant Street. So, but is Hart Street the end of the survey area? Is that what you're saying?
It would, the end point to where it connects to Broad Cove would be on Hart, but
Yeah.
we'd also like to look at the on-road going all the way down Pleasant as well. I mean, it should encompass all of that. If they're doing a survey in that area, those are kind of not mutually exclusive. If they're looking at the area anyway.
And what happens when it hits the Somerset line? The trail is dead. Somerset's not gonna spend no money.
Somerset's already
through the
designated that
roof
road as,
already.
Somerset has already designated Pleasant when it crosses over to Somerset as part of the Taunton River trails. They've got signage all the way down that road. I can't control what Somerset does. But
Tim
there's
Ryan's
signage all the way
hands up.
down the road anyway, so it's long been designated as Taunton River Trails if you go all the way down that road. And-
Jeff, do you know who funded Somerset, that part of Somerset? Did the town of Somerset fund that?
The signage going all the way down.
Yeah.
I think they got the signs from Serped. I don't
Hmm.
know if they funded, I don't know what they did, any more funding beyond that.
Well, it seems to me maybe, have you talked to Serpent about them funding any of this?
They usually don't fund feasibility studies. They will fund engineering and construction. That's kind of, what he was alluding to was, they kind of push this stuff to the municipalities, and it's kind of a give and take. We put up a little funding locally, and then that opens up additional funding from them, from the state and from federal, and Serped would actually help us go out and identify grants that match our situation. So it's kind of a give and take, but at this point, this is kind of a locally funded thing.
I think Tim's got to raise hand. I'm not sure he wants a question. He wants the floor. Tim, you all set?
Tim, you got the high
Yeah, I'm all
five.
set. I don't know what happened to the chairman, so I just, is the chairman still with us in the meeting is the question.
He's having some audio visual problems.
Yeah. Are there 5 of us to keep doing business here? I think there are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I count 6.
Okay. So, I think, what Tim, what I'd like to do, what Tim had proposed earlier was, it's possible to make a motion to rescind the earlier motion. Is that right, Tim?
Yes, you could do that until we have further discussion among members, or we could we have time between now and town meeting, before warrant articles have to be submitted, so that's up to the membership.
Yeah, I mean, personally, okay, now that I understand the map of this thing a little better, I'm less excited about than I was, and I apologize for maybe not putting the thought into it the first time around. I'm not really willing to, kind of just brush off Woody's concerns. So I think we ought to ask Jeff to maybe take into account maybe some of the concerns that have been raised, especially the concern that's been raised that this is not going to fly at town meeting, which I think is a really valid concern. And, I mean, you could take the attitude that's not our problem, but, I don't want to go out there with proposals that aren't, that we have trouble being excited about ourselves. Okay. If that's a valid concern. So what are options here, Mr. Chairman or Vice Chairman? Is it an option to table the motion, or should we just rescind it and, have put it on the
You can
agenda?
just, vote to rescind the no motion, or just make a motion to have no motion going forward.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to have no motion going forward. Let's vote on it. Okay, guys, let's
second
decide what
that.
we want to do.
So there's been a motion to rescind the prior motion. Is there a second?
I second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, let's vote. By roll, Mr. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Marvel,
Aye.
Mr. Atkinson,
Aye.
Mrs. Collard,
Aye.
Mr. Rhines, aye, Mr. Pruitt,
Aye.
Thought they were gonna forget you again, huh, Mr. Pruitt?
thank you, members. Motion been made and seconded. Roll call vote shows a 7-0 vote. Jeff, we may call you back in the future if you have any updates for us, going further.
Can I get
And,
an explanation of what you would like me to come back with? I need to understand what information you need from me for clarification for next month when we meet again.
well, I guess at this point, we wouldn't need to go any further with the process, but it's just a question of, well, matter of fact, what we'll do is we will contact you after our meetings, if we decide to go forward, with your proposed application.
Okay. So we'll talk again in a month?
Yeah, we'll reach out to you, Jeff. Absolutely, Mr. Cavallo.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome, sir. Have a wonderful evening.
Hey,
Thank you.
Jeff.
Well,
Jeff.
bye, everybody.
See you later.
Have a good night.
Good night now.
Good night.
Thanks.
Enjoy the
Jeff.
snow.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Jeff. We're not against trails, okay? Just understand that.
Jeff, after
Uh-huh.
we reorganize in April, you could take my place on PPC if you want.
Okay.
Okay. There you go. There's a good possibility for you there.
I think I gotta stop saying yes to things.
Okay, thank you.
My wife's gonna kill me. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night. Take care. Be safe.
Good night. Thank you again, Jeff. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So members, since we've lost the chairman, I would like to go on to the financial report for this month, and that's for presented by member Mr. David Eckerson. You have the floor, sir.
Yeah, now I believe I tried to share screen last month and it's not allowed. Is that right, Dave Marvel?
You should be able to share a screen.
All right, let's see what happens.
See, you should be able to.
Yeah. And it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can do something on my end.
Yeah.
Dave. Let me,
Yeah, 'cause I don't have those capabilities for my phone to do it, unfortunately.
I mean, I can make you co-chair and see if that would work. You want to try that?
Whatever it takes.
All right, let's try this, because I don't see anything else to,
All right. Here we go again. Ready?
okay, I just gave it to you. Let's try that now.
Oh, look at that.
All right, let's see if we can see it on our end.
Um,
Something's happening. Okay.
All
Thank you,
right.
sir. It looks good.
This is cool. All right. Now, as far as I can tell, the financial report is exactly the same as the document we had last month. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone had a chance to look at it. So what I
That's correct.
Yeah. So what I did here is accountants, they try to like put every number in their spreadsheet twice and have it balance somewhere out. And I think this time they overdid it. So I try again to explain these numbers here. If you look at the numbers in yellow here, does everyone see my colors?
Mhm.
The
Yes.
numbers in yellow are the actual balances in each of our individual funds. And so those are the numbers that I think are most important to us in considering projects. The numbers in orange here have been added into the total over at the right in green. And I don't think that's correct. It's not like we have this extra 136,281 in the budget somewhere. That number is just put, yeah.
Mr. Eckerson, if I may, just for a second, yeah, that's correct, because that was the monies that were appropriated to us in November for our allocation from the state. Now, that's you gotta figure the $100,000 normal allocation for what they receive in receipts for the 1%. And last year, we had a very major bump in monies, not only from the registry of deeds, but also the other monies. So that's where the 136 comes in.
The 136, Tim, I think is the exact amount that that was voted to spend on the Lincoln Village improvements.
No, on the far right, if you go on the far right-hand column, all the way in the ends, on the far right, in the bottom number, you see 136.
Yeah.
That is the amount of monies that were given to the town through what they receive in receipts. So what you have to look at is you have to look at the undesignated reserve, take what's in there, and take the three categories of the 10, 10, and 10, add those together.
Yeah.
And that should give you some total of what is the actual amount in the kitty itself.
Right. So I believe the actual amount in the kitty itself is over here. Okay. If you subtract the 136,281 from the 643, that's the actual amount in the kitty. So it's about 507,000. I'm not questioning that, Tim. I'm just saying when they made up this number here I've highlighted in green, that's got too many things added into it. Okay. It's so it really is 136,281 less than that. Okay. So hopefully that's clear to everyone. And I don't know when will be issued by Chris an update to this. I guess when there's a change.
Yeah, I'm just surprised we didn't get one, because usually we get one every month. So maybe it's just an oversight. So I think we have to reach out to them again just to find out. That's all. I think the last one we got was what, January 20th, Dave? Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. And then we got then Tom sent this one out to us. I don't know. Did you get that from Chris, Tom? Or is it just the same one?
Where did he go to? Is the question.
Yeah, I got him on the side. Hold on, guys. I asked him to unmute himself. I think he's got audio problems.
Yeah, Dave, are we on any type of time frame with Zoom where it's not recorded? Or
No, because we're on a pay account, gentlemen and ladies.
Oh, okay.
So we're all
Okay.
set. We can keep moving.
All right. I just didn't know how that worked.
I think at the last meeting we voted by our own Zoom account. Is that right?
Yeah, because I want everybody just to understand too that I am completing the finalized paperwork for the agricultural preservation restriction, which is one of the encumbered monies. And we're getting ready to wrap that up. And I've already submitted the monies to the paperwork to the town clerk to appropriate the cash. And they're looking for a W-9 from the Arujos, and it should be wrapped up. As a matter of fact, I am meeting the woman from the APR, Miss Padula, with Mr. Arujo on Tuesday morning at around 11 a.m., weather permitting, of course. Yeah, let me see what Chris did here. Yeah, Dave, you're right. You have to subtract the 643 from the 136. Well, wait a minute, that's,
No,
because if you look at, because if you look at the fund reserve balance for expenditures, that's the money you received. And if you go all the way back over to the right-hand column, that's the same amount of money at the end. So that is the money that you received from the state. That's the $130,000, I'm sorry, the $100,000 plus the registry of deeds receipts plus the extra money that the legislature voted in to have go to the cities and towns. So in actuality, if you look at the CPA budget reserve fund balance for open space, there is $26,376 in there. In historic reserve, there is the 98,000.
Yep.
And then in the community housing, yes, we did drain that of $110,000. And it should be the addition of town meeting, but I think he doesn't have, if you look at the community housing, there was more than $110,000 in the fund. And that's why we only appropriated that sum of monies and used monies from the undesignated reserve to pay the balance.
Right.
If the members remember correctly. So the encumbrance of, again, the APR is going to be taken care of. We're still in negotiations for the land acquisition for Pleasant Street. North Dayton is still in flux, as is the, excuse me, no, that's it. So right now in the undesignated reserve, yes, there is a balance of $304,000 right now. So if you take that monies and add that to your open space, your historical and your community housing, that should be a sum total. Now, there is monies, I believe, it says in the fund balance reserve for CPA budget reserve. Now, if you look at the date, that's in August. I'm sorry, is that July? Yeah, 7th July. So
right.
that monies that were appropriated by the state that I don't believe have bounced into the account yet. So I'll have to check with the town accountant just to make sure on that. I think they will reach out and do that for us.
Yep.
Mr. Atkinson,
Yeah,
if you would.
I'll ask him again.
So I think I hope that was a little bit of an explanation from what the sheet that we see if the members are looking at it. So
Yeah, so anyway, and Tim and I do agree here that if you add up the yellow numbers, that's the kitty, and it's not 643,000, it's actually more like 507,000. So that is the sum of the 5 yellow numbers there. Okay, so if there's no questions, I'll unshare my screen. Okay.
thank you, Mr. Atkinson, for that report to the members. And again, the members, he will reach out to town accountant, Mr. Laviolette, for any updates for our balance sheet. Going back to the agenda, trying to wrap this up for the members. I know we've been here a long time, so I think everybody's basically heard my report throughout the meeting this evening. I had a discussion earlier this evening with the Committee on Disabilities, excuse me, and it was just an open discussion, and I gave them my own personal views, not the views of the boards or committees I serve on. And I reached out, and I can plan on continuing to reach out to work with them, even though I'm not going to be running for re-election for the Parks and Rec. So, but I look forward to working with them. So at this time, members, because I believe we lost the chair, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of November 19th.
Excuse me, I was not able to send them to all the members because of my internet connection. Really is not good.
Okay, so we're going to I'll entertain a motion to table the minutes of November 19th to our next meeting.
I make a motion.
Motion been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any further discussion on tabling the minutes of November 19th? Hearing none, let's vote by roll. Mr. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Marvel,
Aye.
Mrs. Collard,
Aye.
Mr. Atkinson,
Aye.
Mr. Pruitt,
Aye.
Mr. Rhines? Aye. Thank you, members. Mr. Chairman, I believe if you're there, just signify, well, you can't do that by shaking your head, so we're gonna move on. Thank you, members. Any public input this evening from the members before we adjourn? I know it's been a lengthy meeting, so members, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Members, don't forget to look at your calendars. We meet always on the third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. I will be sure to make sure that our administrative assistant, Ms. Robitaille, sends out the agenda, and I'll reach out with her to make sure in this that we have a set agenda. And also, I'll make sure the members receive the Zoom information. Members, just be alerted that the Zoom information cannot be given to the members no earlier than 2 days out prior to the meeting, because what happens is Zoom will shut you down, I guess, is how it works. So it cannot be done any more than 48 hours prior to our meetings. So members, the motion has been made to adjourn. It's been voted on by roll. And again, thank you very much, Cable. And thank you, Town of Dayton. Sorry the meeting lasted so long due to some technical difficulties.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
All right, thank you all.
Good night now, everybody. Stay safe.
Good night.
Be
All
safe.
right. Good night, everybody. Thanks a
Good
lot.
night.
Enjoy the snow.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, Mr. Bible, for doing this, and good night, Cable.
All right, you too. You as well, guys. Be safe.